So today we're talking about Intentional Mind and Body Studio, and I'm here talking with my good friend, Dr. Leonaura Rhodes, who is going to do programs with our studio. And I want to say welcome, and I'm so happy that you've agreed to offer your programs to clients here. And I want you to, just talk about some of what you're offering, and kind of let clients know like what this is all about. So first, can you describe what your programs are?
Yes, absolutely. So my programs are in the fields of wellness, so improving physical and emotional health, and really about illness prevention, and staying as healthy as we can be. And the other kind of field that I work in a lot is called life design. The idea being that, and I know you love the word intentional too, that life is extremely precious and each day is a gift. And we can either plod through life, kind of settling for whatever comes our way, or we can be very intentional about our life. And people who are intentional tend to be happier and healthier, and they tend to feel more fulfilled with their life. They have been aiming towards certain things in their life, and then and they enjoy the journey more, and then when they get there, they appreciate what they have achieved, and they tend to be more accomplished and happier people.
I think it's interesting that that we're talking about the intentional journey, because intentions imply the journey,
Yes.
right? And whereas an earlier iteration of this was when people used to talk about like goal setting,
Yeah.
which implies like the end point. And now we're not talking about the end point anymore. We're talking about the journey. And I think that that's really an inflection point. Don't you agree?
Yes, absolutely. And I think one of the places that it came from was well-being research. I'm sure you've heard of positive psychology. This was the study of what makes people thrive rather than what makes people mentally ill. And what they found was that with regard, there are eight things that impact mental well-being, and one of them being accomplishment. And the interesting thing in the accomplishment research was that it was not accomplishing big goals and outcomes that led to lasting well-being. That those things tended to create very short-term well-being, and then with a dip in well-being afterwards. But
Mm-hmm.
what created lasting well-being was enjoying the journey, was setting goals, working towards them, celebrating every success that you had, and noticing the progress that you were making. That was actually much more impactful than, running a marathon or going to the moon or whatever. And so I'm assuming that's kind of where a lot of that kind of shift came from.
That's I think that's fascinating. Um, and the really the idea of setting the intention and going through the process of achievement is more relevant than you know than the actual thing.
Yes.
I hear that a lot. You know,
Yeah.
it's the dog chasing the car. What
Yeah.
happens when the dog catches the car?
Yes.
I don't know. My dog doesn't know. He chases the car all the time, but he doesn't know what to do when he catches the car. That's the
Yes.
question mark. It's a
Yes,
big,
absolutely.
it's a big deal.
Yeah.
So what if so I think that you pretty much answered this question about, what is your general philosophy and
Yeah.
approach towards the training that you do?
Yes. And I like you, Terry, come from a medical background where
Yeah.
we we have a lot of, of information in our heads. But I am actually quite a simple soul. I love simplifying things. I love taking very complex topics and turning it into something that is accessible to almost everybody. And I think, you know, in the wellness space and in the personal development space, I love being able to do that, to make something very accessible. When I work with people, a lot of the learning is experiential. It's not just dumping a lot of information upon people. When I run workshops, I make my guests do a lot of the work. I make them do exercises, and we do fun activities to take it from pure knowledge to something that you actually understand at a deep level, and then we'll go on to implement.
So in your workshops, people can get this, they work with you in experientially.
Yes.
And practically. So, and they can take away this work that they do with you and apply it outside.
Absolutely. That's the intention, because it's not just for knowledge sake. You know, it's
Sure.
it's said that there's 3 levels of learning. There's informational learning, and then there's emotional learning where you really get it, and then there's physical learning where, you know, what you have learned becomes integrated into who you are and into your life, and that's ultimately what really matters.
Absolutely, absolutely. So how long have you been teaching in this way?
Well, I was thinking about this earlier on today. Altogether 17 years. And I actually began running workshops with parents with special needs children. When I began as a coach, it was in the UK, and I only worked with that community. And so it began then. And then I actually returned to medicine for a period of time before my family moved to the States. And so when we moved to America, I picked up the training again. And again, when I moved here, I first began in the special needs community. But then I very quickly kind of began to generalize, working with women and with businesses, and so I love working with, you know, almost anybody. And but my, you know, what I've kind of been drawn to is to businesses. I love working with businesses because you get to affect a group of people all at once. It's not just, you know, one-on-one coaching is wonderful, but it's not accessible to everybody. But when you go into, you know, when you work with a business or when you work with a group of people, you can, you know, you can have a big impact. And there's also this wonderful group dynamic where people, you know, by listening to other people sharing, or by sharing themselves with another person, that it deepens the learning. So the group training setting, I love it as much as I love one-on-one coaching.
So in these groups, are they mostly people that work together, or do you mix up different people who work for different firms?
That's a very good question. Up until now, with the corporate training, I have only worked with one company, you know, with a company, and I have several clients. I have a massive client in the UK that I do several trainings with a year, obviously all virtual because I'm here, and then I work with some kind of more medium-sized businesses. And I had an idea a few months ago, which I shared with you, Terry, to I kind of, it occurred to me it was a shame that small businesses were missing out on this type of training, because you know, their employees have as much need as does an employee in a big company. And you know, a small business needs to optimize their people more, you know, more than a big business does. When you've got, you know, when you've only got 4 employees, you really want to be getting the best out of them. And so I had this idea: what about offering corporate trainings to a variety of different companies? And if your company is 10 people and you want to send 3, then that's fine. If your company is, you know, 2 people and you want to send both of them, then go ahead. And so the idea kind of going forward is that in addition to working with you know, medium and larger businesses, that we offer this to groups of businesses, and we get them to send as many people as they want.
So say I am a small business owner, which I am,
Yes, you are.
and I have 3 employees,
Yeah.
and I come to you and I say, okay, doctor, I would love to send my employees for some corporate wellness training. What can I expect to my employees to learn?
Mm. Well, that it depends in part on the topic, and the first topic that we've picked is about peak performance. Terry, but your viewers may not know. I used to work as a coach for Tony Robbins. I was a results coach and business trainer for Tony Robbins, and one of the most impactful things that I learned doing that work was about peak performance, and that we have huge untapped potential in us as human beings, and a lot of famous people, A-list celebrities, athletes, politicians, CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, they all have peak performance training, and it allows them to tap into their full potential more, and I personally believe that it's a secret that's too good to keep to just those people. So that first training that we're going to do is going to be about peak, how to become a peak performer in one thing or in everything that you do. And if this goes well, then we'll be offering other trainings. I do trainings in stress management, in well-being, in mental resilience, in leadership. I'm also trained as a DISC trainer, which is an assessment that you do of behavior style, and that's a really, really useful thing to learn to do. I've taught it to companies with like 500 people, and I've also I also taught it to a company of 2 people, and it helps you understand how you behave and how you act with other people, and then by understanding your behavior style and then learning about other people's behavior style, you can learn to get along better and to communicate better with other people. So that's one of the
That is very useful.
really useful.
That's really useful, because I mean, communication is one of the most important things in the workplace.
Yeah, totally.
Really, being able to have, being able to communicate your ideas and effectively and productively, and to be able to speak to people and have them understand what you want from them. And that is so, so important.
Yes. And poor communication is one of the biggest causes of inefficiencies in the workplace.
Oh, for sure.
And I coach C-suite executives. It comes up almost every session, poor communication and not understanding that other people are different to you, and that the way that you like to be communicated with may not work for that other person. And so, when you can, we call it in coaching model of the world, when you understand more about this other very complicated being, you can work with them better, you can communicate with them better, and everything runs smoother. So, yeah.
It absolutely does. I mean, in my simplified mind, I always think about it as, like reading the room.
Yes.
Knowing who you're talking to.
Yep.
And understanding that other people have their own challenges, their own mind, and they have their own issues that they're dealing with that day. You don't know what someone is dealing with when they walk into your office.
Absolutely. I say to my clients, you are amazing, and you're very complicated, and you're completely unique, and you're also weird, and you're also flawed, just like everybody else.
Exactly.
And when we can kind of, accept that and understand that and have empathy and compassion for other people, and also try to communicate with them in a way that will work better and that will make them more comfortable, everything becomes so much smoother.
I think the word that you used that really resonated with me just now is compassion.
Yeah.
Compassion is very, very important, and there's not enough of it in the workplace.
Yeah, absolutely. And most people, let's face it, most people are good people and are well intentioned. It's just sometimes their behavior doesn't reflect that. And if you can kind of come from that perspective that, you know, this is a good person I'm dealing with, and that, you know, they are well intentioned, and, you know, is, you know, if a less than optimal behavior shows up, what's going on with that person? Is it that they're stressed? And, you know, to be able to take a step back and say, this isn't the whole person that's showing up, it's a stressed part of this person. that
Yeah,
can that can be really helpful too. So yeah, so
yeah.
getting back to the question, you know, I what they will learn is going to depend largely on the topic, but everything that I teach is neuroscience based. I'm obsessed with neuroscience. I think the human brain is
Absolutely.
it's just the most fascinating thing. I can't get enough of it. And when we, you know, it's not logically wired, and when we understand the curious ways in which the human brain is wired and the ways that it works, it can help us kind of hack things, and you know, and work with our biology instead of against it.
That's wonderful. I hear it. I hear it. And I hear your passion, which is really everything. You know, when you have someone who's facilitating, who is passionate, who wants a group to succeed, I think that works with the group, and the group will succeed because of that as well. It helps people do the work.
Yeah, absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
know, I really do think that.
Yeah.
And so I guess this leads me to one question I had, which is, you know, how do you see your students getting the most benefit of from this program, from this peak performance we can just take the peak performance
Yeah.
program. We're just talking about that for right now.
Yeah.
Um, how would someone come in and say, I want to get the most I can out of this program? How do I do that?
Well, they don't really need to do anything before, because I'm going to help them get there. So,
Okay,
you know, so
show up.
I think people need to show up, and they need to be open and curious to, you know, maybe learning something that they've never heard before, or even hearing something that they have heard before. A lot of people who come to my trainings have done other personal development stuff or other wellness stuff, but, you know, sometimes hearing it in a different way can just make it kind of click in your brain.
Mhm.
And so, you know, to come with an open mind, to be curious, and to be, you know, to have that kind of growth mindset of, you know, I don't know what's going to happen here, but it's going to be good. I'm going to learn, I'm going to grow, and I'm determined that I'm going to come out of this a better person.
And if I want to take this class, this workshop, um, what do I need to know should I tell my employer that I want to do it? How do I go about, you
Yeah.
know,
So
facilitating this?
I think
What do
there's a few different ways it can work. I think my hope is that some employers are going to recommend, you know, the programs that we hopefully this is something that we'll do on a very regular basis. That they'll recommend it to their employees and say, you know, we'll give you, and they're going to be lunch and learn type of sessions. So they'll be over the lunch break. You know, at the very least, I would be asking employers to give their people time off to come to one of these classes. Some employers, I would imagine, would offer to pay for it, but they may not have the budget for it. I had a woman who works for a bank the other day, and I was telling her about this, and she's like, I am coming. I don't care if my bank is willing to pay for it. I'm going to come anyway. And so, you know, so people may fund it themselves, or the employer may fund it. And we're going to keep it, you know, very affordable.
And we will have a good lunch.
Yes.
I promise.
Yes.
We will do something really nice for people, something healthy, and so people will be happy with that. I will make sure of that, because they will be in the studio for that. What else? Is there anything else that you would like people to know about this program and or about you? Because you're a fantastic, amazing person. I
Thank
mean, there's
you.
so much. There's so
Oh,
much.
thank
So
you. I mean,
you
I
know,
think it, you know, I hope it comes across. I absolutely love doing this work. It's you know, I really get into flow when I'm doing these sessions. I'll often kind of have this thought pop into my head. This is what I'm on the planet to do. I absolutely love it, and I really do believe that, you know, that the gifts that I was given, and you know, I kind of had to give up being a doctor on two occasions for reasons that, you know, family reasons, and it's all good, but I, you know, I've always been very determined not to waste that knowledge and that training, and you know, to find new and innovative ways to use it and to put it to good use. And I think, you know, everybody deserves to be to have a good life, and you know, especially with health and happiness. And I think, you know, there's a lot coming out at the minute about longevity as well, and that about being it's not about adding years to life, but it's about adding life to years. You know, we want to, and I know we share this kind of philosophy. We want to, you know, we want to grow old but be vibrant and healthy, and still, you know, still love life and be able to do the things that we want to do. And I think, you know, we're not born with that knowledge of how to do that, and so, you know, we can find it. And the idea of these programs is it will give people, you know, an insight into some of the things that they can do to make life better for themselves.
well, I'm in. I love, love, love. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for speaking about all of this.
Yeah.
And I know that, you know, whoever takes the time to join this program will just leave it feeling so satisfied and so happy that they did, and they'll return. There's no question in my mind with us. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Bye for now.
Yay. Bye for now.